So hi all. So myself Mohammed, Assistant Professor, Department of Electrical Electronics Engineering, KPRIET Institute of Engineering and Technology, Coimbatore. So we are going to discuss about automotive electrical system as KPRIET Institute of Engineering Technology, so joint venture with Bosch. So we have initiated the laboratory called as an Bosch Center of Excellence. So in which automotive electrical is handled by me. So as I am certified by Bosch Bangalore. So generally, so what is called as an automotive electrical system? So in an automobile, without electrical system, so we can't able to enjoy the most sophistications, right? So in a conventional system, to crank an engine, so we are used a manual system to crank an engine. So as of the evaluation of electrical system, so we are in sophistication by turning on the engine. So the major automotive electrical systems are electrical storage battery, generator, starting motor, or it is also called as a cranking motor, the lightning system, ignition system, and various control systems are there. So in which what we are going to discuss this session is a starting motor. So generally a starting motor is directly responsible for starting the engine, right? So the battery provides the power that is needed, but it can't start the engine on its own. That is, the battery can't able to start the engine on its own. So the battery sends electrical power to the starter motor. So by means of starter motor, so the engine is going to start. The starter provides in rotating the flywheel and activates the crankshaft to throw the engine's pistons into motion. Even if the battery is performed without a working starter, it won't be possible to start a vehicle. All we know about it. Okay. So the need of a starter motor. The Carl Benz in 1910 invented the starter motor. So why this evaluation has been started? So due to the increased size of an engine, it is very difficult to crank a wheel manually. Hence the evaluation of starter motor has been begun. The electrical system establishes mechanical link between pinion and the crank wheel. So which type of starter motor is used in automobile? So generally the starter motor or cranking motor is most common type of motors which is used for a gasoline engine and a diesel engine. The starter motor is often either permanent magnet or a series parallel wound direct current electric motor with a starter solenoid. So in nature, so we are using a permanent magnet with a starter solenoid mounted on it. So this is an exploited view of a starter motor. So generally the motor consists of a field and armature winding. So in this is of a special type of a motor which has a solenoid function. The solenoid is act as an relay. Okay. So this is a general circuit diagram of the starter motor unit. So the starter motor unit is connected by the battery through the ignition key. So when the ignition has been started, when we ignite the system, the electrical power from the battery so goes to the solenoid valve. So the electrical power from the battery goes to the solenoid valve. The solenoid valve engages the pinion. So once the pinion has been engaged, so the field winding get energized. Once the field and armature winding gets energized, so the motor tends to rotate. Once the motor gets to rotate, the engine ring gear tends to rotate. Okay, so automatically the engine gets rotated. So this is a process. So we have a certain discussion towards of different circuit diagram. This is the first circuit diagram which an ignition key is turned on. When the ignition key is turned on, the electrical supply from the battery is moves towards the ignition key. The circuit closes, so the ignition the solenoid valve energizes. Okay, so this winding gets energized. Once there is an energization has been takes place, the piston inside the solenoid valve gets attracted. So once this next we have to go for a second circuit diagram, the pinion engagement with the ring gear. When the attraction has been takes place, the pinion is getting engaged with the ring gear. The pinion is engaged with the ring gear. Okay, so I think you can able to understand. So when this attraction has been happened, so the pinion get engaged with the ring gear. So once the attraction has been happened, so this metal plate or the contactor gets contacted with the which is get connected. Okay, so this is a direct connection from the battery. Once this has been connected, so the electrical power from the battery is passes to the field winding of the motor. Okay, so we know the working principle of a motor, DC motor. When a field winding and armature winding get excited, so rotation takes place, right? So from the first diagram, so there is an attraction of the piston inside the solenoid valve. Then the second diagram, the pinion is get engaged with the ring gear, and third diagram, so the motor is getting excited. Next, fourth diagram, it starts to rotate. The pinion rotates the ring gear to the required speed. Okay, so in our KPRIET Bosch Center of Excellence, so we have an automotive electrical test bench, so which is used to test the performance of the starter motor, performance of the alternator, and to perform the test of the battery. Okay, so in this system, so I have been shown testing the either we can able to test the 12-volt starter motor or 24-volt starter motor. Okay, so this is very simple to learn it. Okay, in this test bench, so we are going to test the starter motor, in which it has only 3 connections. One is an ignition key, the second one is called as a positive supply, and this is of a negative supply. Okay, so the ignition is giving to the solenoid valve. So once the ignition has been started, the piston inside the solenoid valve gets attracted. Once the attraction has been takes place, so the conducting plate gets attracted. So once the attraction has been takes place, the supply from the battery is tends towards the field winding of the motor. Okay, so once the field and armature gets excited, the motor tends to rotate. So what we are going to test here means is, so how far it can taking an electrical current. Okay, so it ranges from for a good starter motor ranges from 100 to 140 amps in an ammeter. When this gives an above 100 amps, so this shows that our starter motor is working under a good condition. Okay, so thank you for patient listening. So if you have an doubt towards the starter motor, so you can contact KPRIET Bosch Center of Excellence. Thank you.